down now. Break it down now.
Welcome to this week's edition of Inside Line, brought to you by Mount Shop, the show that focuses purely on Kiwis abroad, but most importantly also at home. Stephen McCarver with Geordie Peters in the house. Actually, how is the house? You're at home, right?
I am today. No flying up to Auckland for me at the moment. We're just trying to conserve fuel, given the fuel crisis that's looming here.
Please stop. That light there, is that Martin Sunshine?
It is. But hey, look, less fuel that we use on me flying around the country to get into the studio with you, the more fuel there is for people to go racing at the weekend.
Oh, wow, nice suck up. Let's move on. F1 weekend. Wow, you got to say, Liam, probably one of his best weekends ever. P7 in the sprint, P7 in the main race. But best of all the bulls.
Yeah, look, I think for Liam, that showed the potential that we all know he's had. He's turned a weekend where he didn't have the fastest car. It probably wasn't a P7 car, to be fair, but he maximised the hell out of it and got that fantastic result. And he was the leader of the Red Bulls. Wow.
Yeah, and Max is saying, I don't want to play anymore. Do you agree with Max? I mean, I'm not so sure anymore about this F1 after 2 weekends, or do we just have to shut up and see how it unfolds?
I think there's an element of, there is still a lot more to play out with the new cars and new powertrains. We've got a bit of a break now before the next round. The engineers, the boffins, they're going to have all sorts of ideas and solutions on how to improve things and get rid of, super clipping and all those.
How about we just get rid of the batteries?
That's obviously the way to go. Chuck a big V10 in the back there and go back to the old days. That would certainly, I think, keep a lot of the purists happy. But look, I think things will iron out eventually. But there is just going to be this weird, sort of interim period where they're still figuring out the technology.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I'm just not so sure. Hey, actually, at Shanghai the weekend as well, our mate Marco Giltrap was in the Carrera Cup Asia. They had a crash in the first race, so they took half points on their qualifying. But P4 in the second one, P3 in the championship so far. So he's grinding that boy, isn't he?
It really is. I mean, he's sort of positioning himself to be a bit of a Porsche specialist almost, or a GT specialist over there. And we've seen a lot of Kiwi drivers forge quite a legitimate career path doing that. So, all the best to Marco in doing that. He's certainly got the goods. He's delivering. He's getting results year in, year out. So, I think this year he's going to be really pushing for that title. And it's a bit of a shame that he didn't get a full weekend of racing as such.
Okay, fun fact. I'm a big Dallas Cowboys fan. What has that got to do with IndyCar? Question, go.
Some track they went to or something.
I don't say some track. It was a brand new race at Arlington in the IndyCar Grand Prix, won by Kyle Kirkwood, who beat up on Palau in the last grass move. But Kiwis again, what was it? Dixon 8, Armstrong 10, McLaughlin 11th off the back of a crash in qualifying. They're there or thereabouts, right? But they're still doing it.
Yeah, I mean, we know that they can deliver. They just didn't quite get it done there. McLaughlin had issues in practice and qualifying. New circuit, street circuit, tight technical, all of those things just didn't come together. And we know Palau and Kirkwood and even Newgarden, they're quick, and they certainly seem to be the front runners at the moment.
Still reckon it's a better watch than F1 at the moment, even though I love F1. You don't think so? Really? You don't think IndyCar's a better watch than F1?
Look, it probably is in terms of racing, to be fair to you. It probably is. Don't
go all soft. You just say it. You like F1 better than IndyCar. It's as
I
simple
do like
as that.
F1. I do. I love F1.
Yeah, there we go. It was simple. Jacob Douglas, Sebastian Manson, USF Pro 2000. Horrible weekend.
Certainly. No, I don't think we need to brush too much on it, other than we know that, they are certainly not. That's certainly not their level. They are much better drivers than that. And every now and then, you have a bit of a dud weekend.
By saying that, we're going to upset their mum and dads, right? But at least we're talking about them. That's the most important thing. The Kiwis doing the grind. Speaking of the grind, SVG. Let's just forget about that one, right? Because he P nowhere this weekend, but there's a million races in NASCAR. We had a big chat at the end of the show last week about what was going on in the weekend watch. Can we start with the Club Sport Championship and what went down?
Yeah, what a weekend in Ashburton. 30 cars contesting that grassroots New Zealand Championship, and our winner was Josh Cooper. And funnily enough, his younger brother actually won the junior title in that championship over the weekend.
Pretty surreal experience. Thank you very much to everyone who's come along and all the other competitors. It's just surreal. The motor car went all right, not perfect, but I managed to claw it back on the autocross and the bent sprint today. So, yes.
And then, of course, we had the New Zealand Formula 4 Championship up at Hampton Downs, and Marco Manson dominating, just like we talked about last week. 3 race wins from 4, Stephen. Pretty good result.
Yeah, had a DNF, but that cost him a little bit, didn't it?
It did a wee bit, and it cost him an important piece of silverware too, the Ron Frost Memorial Trophy. But Maxim Kerwin took that out, a well-deserving winner, and the New Zealand Formula 4 champion, another young gun who's on his way.
How about the trucks, the Southern Thunder?
Southern Thunder, yep, always a favourite. This New Zealand Super Trucks at Teretonga. Alex Little won that round. He's doing really well now. He's got, I think it's about 7 wins in that championship, which is pretty good. Troy Etting, second overall in that round, and Ron Salter third. Ricky West was the lead in the development series of the truck class down in Teretonga.
Isn't Ricky West a cool name? Ricky West.
It's a perfect truck driver name.
Yeah, I was about to say, or a NASCAR name, Ricky West.
Yeah,
Hey,
well, maybe he's on the way to NASCAR, following Shane's footsteps.
You got excited with Formula First being back at Teretonga. How'd that go down?
I did. Look, I love Formula First. It's a great category, and it's a proven category on that driver development pathway in New Zealand. And for the first time, we talked about last week, 30 years, they've been to Teretonga. And it was Liam Nicholson, actually, who took out the round on us there. 2 race wins. Chris Simon with a race win, and then Len Foster with another race win as well. And those of you who have been following or know Formula First, Chris Simon, 5-time national champion, going again for another one, but he's got Liam Nicholson really hot on his heels this time around.
Well, let's do that weekend wrap. Alexandra, the hill.
Yeah, hill climb in Wellington. Bit of Wellington
surprise.
Motorsport action. And Matt Rule in his cross car took that one out. Then we had Joseph Sutherland in a Golf, second place, and Anthony Taylor-Edwards and a Lancer Evo finishing in third. And I think one of the things that stood out for me is all of those cars are very, very different cars. They achieve their speed very differently. And that top 3 was separated by only 12 100ths of a second. So you've got the 750cc cross car, purpose-built little buggy, essentially, taking it to the Golfs and the Evos of the world with obviously more weight but bigger engines. It's cool to see.
Yeah, I'd still rather have the 750 horses. Okay, that was a busy weekend around the world and around New Zealand. We'll give you the weekend watch in the not-too-distant future here on the Inside Line, brought to you by Mount Shop. But coming up, we talk drifting, round 4 of the D1NZ National Drifting Championship, because they're going to a brand new track. This is the Inside Line, brought to you by Mount Shop, coming to you from Matchbox. Our feature interview this week centres on the D1NZ National Drifting Championship, going to a brand new circuit in Gisborne, H. Blackby Drift Park. It's a cracker. And joining us to talk about it and the world of drift is the man sitting P3 in the pro standings. That's Ben Jenkins. Hey, Ben, nice to have you on the show, man.
Thank you very much, Stephen. It's great to be here in this lovely facility.
Oh, lovely. That was so polite. You're not normally that polite. Hey, let's talk about, go back a few weeks, right? The final drift, the last drift at Pukekohe. In many ways for you, that was a home track.
It sure was. As the lead-up was coming into it, there was so much anticipation to get back to Pukekohe. We haven't been there in a number of years. And for myself, and even for my brother who's not competing, it's a cool feeling because it's our home track. We grew up 10 minutes south of Pukekohe Park Raceway, and we spent many a time there as young guns, supporting the thoroughbred horse racing, and also then sitting on the hill watching the V8 supercars and the likes of the NZ V8s and things like that go around and around. So it's a special place for our family.
I mean, you ended the weekend P3, so congratulations on that. But to go P3, you were going close, and we all have moments in motorsport. But to get on that track and for a final time, throw some smoke out, throw the car into that fast corner, what did it mean to you?
It definitely meant a lot. Leading into that, I really wanted to do well. We obviously had the GP, a high motivation for the GP on the Sunday to verse the likes of Denofa and Laurie again on the Sunday. So there was a lot of motivation to do well. But straight away, as soon as we got there, packing in on the Thursday, there's just an eerie feeling of the place not being so set up as it was many years ago. So it sort of added to it in a way. And then driving around the back of the track on your outlap where the fences were missing and things like that have already been taken away from the circuit, it just had a special feeling. And knowing that it was the last time we were going to go around there that weekend, it's pretty cool. And it's pretty cool for drifting to be the last one there.
When you were coming over the hill, did you sort of have that moment you said, I used to sit up there and we used to do that and I used to get chips there? And
it definitely was. We were sitting on the hill the day that Shane won the last time there in the Commodore, so he did a pretty epic burnout on the top of the hill. So spotting that spot of pretty much where he was and seeing where we were on the other side having a beer was a pretty cool moment. But once you're suited up and you're sitting there on the start line, where the start line now is just on the hill coming down, you don't really have too much time to be looking in the crowd.
What's that corner like? I've done it in the passenger seat, so it gives you a scary feeling. But as a driver, is it as scary once you get used to it?
Once you get used to it, it's not. I've actually always thought personally, Pukekohe, the sweeper, once you get away from the speed, get out of your mind the speed, it's a rather simple track because the rest of the track is sort of decelerating and then getting back in the zone. So once you get it set and right, that sweeper corner is relatively easy. A lot of people will be thinking that's a bit of an insane thing to say at 180 to 200k an hour, but it really is. And the advice, if anyone ever asked me of how to do it, it's the faster you go to train your brain or your mind to go as fast as you can to initiate into that corner makes that corner a hell of a lot easier.
In recent times, you were driving Toyotas, the 86s, but you took a year off. You're back in the Fenix S15. Why did you take a year off and why did you change cars?
My brother and I took a little bit of a sabbatical, I guess you can call it, and then got into the housing market and did a few life things. We've both been busy at work, with high up at our jobs, and trying to focus on those sort of things. And yeah, I built the Sylvia in intentions just to have a bit more fun and do some...
You can never have fun. You are too competitive.
I still enjoy having fun at every track day and drifting a car. So that's why we built this car. Adrian, the owner of Phoenix, and myself, we built this display car that we took over to Australia for the LZ World Tour, and I took back to Australia for Drift Fest. And it was just supposed to be a simple car, but as we well know, drift cars never remain simple, and it spiraled out of control. Now we've turned it into this fire-breathing 850 horsepower rocket, which I thought, with this year not too many events happening in that sort of space of like exhibition style events. Last year we had the LZ Tour at Taupo, but it's not returning. I thought, hey, I may as well have this expensive Nissan sitting in the garage. Let's go out and give this national championship a red hot crack.
Is it delivering what you wanted as a car and your own performance?
I think it's delivering a little bit more than I really thought. So getting back into it with the team and the crew, we did a lot of testing in the car and driving it at different circuits around New Zealand. And yeah, we've had some great results, and I'm just feeling a little bit more at home in it. Being an S chassis, the drift world know they're probably the most used chassis in the world, just the way the setup they are, and the parts availability. That's also a major thing for them. And
but robust, right?
That's right, robust and strong, and just very easy to drive.
You used the word expensive a couple of times. Okay, just in roundabout figures, if you're playing in the top with the big boys, which you are, what sort of money you're spending on a car to set it up and get going? And you don't have to tell me the full number. Just give me a roundabout. Yeah,
these cars, if you're not having major help from brand partners and things like that, can be upwards of 200 grand, 250 grand. So
and then you've got to run it.
Then you've got to run it for the year, and I tell you what, your tyre bill for a test day or your tyre bill for a D1 event is
you're telling me you're not sponsored for tyres?
It's very hard to be sponsored for tyres in the D1Z Pro field because we have controlled tyres, controlled tyre brands. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, those tyre brands don't have much left in the marketing budget after they actually become part of the series, which is definitely a topic of debate, to be honest, for our series over the last couple of years. So there's only a limited number of tyres you can choose from, and you have to pay a set price, and that's pretty much it. So your tyre coverage and things like that have to come from other means of your sponsorship or marketing package.
Alrighty, let's look at the penultimate round of the National Championship. You're off to H. Blackby Drift Park, brand new park. Having looked at the map, what do you think?
I'm excited. I'm very excited. Connor Halligan and Brodie Marr, good friends of mine. We're sort of running a bit of a trio team this year. Connor's got on the Google Maps and he's done some measurements and things like that for us to get into it. So talking about it with those boys and getting like setups sort of dialed, well not dialed, but setups put in the cars before we even get there is exciting as well. Looking at the corners.
What does it look like? Is it a flowing track, tight track? Because we're in a bit like Mount Smart was quite a small stadium. Is it similar?
It looks similar to Mount Smart. Maybe the run-up's a touch bigger than Bay Park.
That's good.
And maybe, around the same as Mount Smart. So many years ago, we were at Tauranga in the car park at Bay Park. So the track's sort of the same track as that, but maybe a little bit more drawn out in the centre to make it more exciting. It's definitely going to be a
Smoke fest
and a bit of a carnage fest, if you want to say that. There's some
big concrete walls.
There's some concrete walls and some cinder blocks going down, but it looks like the fans can be very close to the action. That's what we want. We want the fans to be really there and involved in the tyre smoke. So yeah, we're only a couple of days away now before we make the big trek down there to see what it's like.
I mean, that's been one of the issues, the logistical issues. So the Waiaweka Gorge is open, but is that a major for you guys, trucking them all down?
It definitely is. We're very lucky that I think last week they made some changes to the convoys they're putting through. So every hour on the hour, the south has the priority to get down into Gisborne through the gorge. So we'll have to be there on the hour with the big rig to get it through. But some of the boys with the trucks, Fanger and the VIP boys and stuff with the trucks might have to time their stuff right to get through with the big trucks. But yeah, who knows? We're originally going to have to go all the way down to Napier and come back up that coastal road, which would have been quite interesting with the big Chev and the enclosed trailer behind. But yeah, we'll be there on Thursday afternoon and we'll get our first look at the track.
Phoenix S15 ready to go?
Phoenix S15, yeah, we've done some good repairs for it after Pukekohe. Got a bit of abuse over that.
Well, look who's driving.
It's not actually me. It was the people versing me, which we had some contact. But yeah, looking for a bit of redemption from Pukekohe as well. We had some untidy battles, some dusty battles to get through. So I really want to prove to myself that we can get some better battles under the belt this round and prove that we deserve to be up there in that top three.
Ben Jenkins, thanks for joining us on the Inside Line. I'll see you in Gizzy, mate.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
You are watching the Inside Line. Now it's time for the Weekend Watch. What gives, Geordie?
Look, the Possum Ball Memorial Rally, I think that has to be the headline. 3 ex-WRC stages up there in Te Akau, and obviously that big connection to Possum Born. The Zero car being piloted by Ben Hunt, our reigning NZRC champion, and Tony Ralston, and Possum's ex-Vantage Subaru. And the other Zero car is Possum Born's ex-Group A Impreza, with Stu Webber at the wheel and Possum's son Spencer in the co-driver's seat. Hey, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, just before you go forward, can you explain to me, because I'm not super smart on rallying, but what is the Zero car?
Essentially, their role is to go through just before the stage starts, before the main competitors go through. It's a bit of a last check, a safety check, if you will, and it obviously lets the crowd know that the cars are coming through as well.
All right, keep rolling. What else are we watching this weekend?
What else are we watching? We talked D1 extensively. That's at Gisborne this weekend. Entered IGP have their Legends of Speed event at Hampton Downs. The South Canterbury Car Club have got their race day at Levels and Features, my favourite, Formula First. Teretonga Sprints happening, and that's the Queenstown Car Club running that. They take a little trip down to Invercargill and do some sprints there. Canterbury Car Club have a grass Motorcana event. Greymouth have got their street sprint event, so that's always a cool event.
Greymouth?
If you're on the West Coast.
Greymouth, really?
Yep, West Coast, yeah. No, they do a street sprint event, and it's generally pretty well supported down there, which is fantastic. Marlborough Car Club have the Barry Voss Memorial Motorcana in Nelson. The Sports Car Club in New Zealand have a autocross at Mount Smart using the little go-kart track that they've got out the back there. Hamilton Car Club have the second round of their autocross series at their club rooms there in their little circuit, their paddock. And the NG Motorsport Register in Auckland have the Tramway Autocross. So another very, very action-packed weekend of motorsport.
Just like this edition of the Inside Line brought to you by Mount Shop. All right, Geordie, have a good week. We'll talk to you next week, okay, buddy?
Sounds good. Thanks, Stephen.
That was the Inside Line brought to you by Mount Shop. Bumper weekend. Get out, and remember, if you want all the goss, we'll give you the Inside Line. See you next week.
it down now. Break it down now.